I am Dracula. I bid you welcome.
Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Thou shalt rise again.
Power to make multitudes run squealing in terror at the touch of my little invisible finger.
Do you believe in werewolves?
To a new world of gods and monsters.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Ken and I's Universal Monsters box set retrospective. Ken, what's going on tonight?
We are talking about the sequel to The Invisible Man, The Invisible Man Returns. And I'll go ahead and ask you, what'd you think of this one?
I think it's a misleading title. This whole movie's a lie.
Yeah, he's not returning. It's a totally different character.
It's a totally different character. So, it's a totally different type of story, really.
Genre. We were talking about this before we started recording. This movie is more, it is not like a monster movie. Even, I mean, the first Invisible Man is more fun and silly than the rest of the Universal monsters, I'd say. But it's still like, it's still technically like a monster movie. This is more like an espionage thriller spy movie to me.
Yeah, this is like a mystery whodunit almost. With like the main character trying to find out who framed him for murder.
Exactly.
Which I think was an interesting way to go with it.
Yeah. And speaking of the main character, we can bring up that, Claude Rains doesn't come back, but this is, I think, the only Universal Monster movie. Well, he does show up at the very end of Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, but this is the first and only one to prominently feature the great Vincent Price.
This was the only one, really?
I think I can't think of any others.
Huh.
He does show up at the very end of Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein as the Invisible Man.
Okay.
But then he's not the Invisible Man when they do Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man.
Yeah, because that makes sense.
Yeah. But how is he in this movie for you, Chad?
Vincent Price has one of the most recognizable, amazing voices ever. Actually, do you want to know the very first time I ever heard Vincent Price's voice?
It might be the same for me, but go ahead.
What's yours?
Edward Scissorhands.
That was probably my second. My first was The Great Mouse Detective.
Oh, Ratigan.
As one of Disney's most underrated villains of all time.
One of its most underrated villains with one of the most underrated villain musical numbers.
Oh my God. I love that song.
I love that song. Oh, Ratigan, the world's greatest criminal mind.
I love that. Oh, but in this, yeah, and it's like almost like anybody, any big name, you can tell the guy was just kind of getting started because it's like he was younger. Obviously, he wasn't like a meme of himself or anything, but it's like you can tell he was just getting started still because it's like he didn't quite have that classic Vincent Price way of talking that he did later on, if that makes sense to you.
I would agree. As you can tell it's his voice, but he doesn't sound quite as... I don't know the exact word I want to go with, but he doesn't sound quite as iconic as he normally does, as he is in House on Haunted Hill or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. But he's still great nonetheless.
Yeah, he is. Overall impressions, what did you think of this movie? For me, it's not a disappointment. You know what's the only real disappointment I have is that it's not so much a, monster movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like I kind of went into it thinking it was gonna maybe follow in the footsteps a little more of the original, and it didn't, which I mean that's I'd rather have something new than like a retread or
a rehash,
a half-assed rehash. But but maybe that's why they did it, because they're just like, when he's invisible, how many things can you really do with it, if that makes sense?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I know there's creative ways
I mean, they
now, but maybe just back
The
then
one
they
way-
were like, we don't want to just do the same thing again, do something new and different.
the one way it's sort of similar is that the serum to turn him invisible, much like it did with Jack Griffin, sort of makes him start to go insane.
Yeah. Other than
But,
that, I mean, he
like you-
seemed like he kept his sanity a lot longer than Jack did.
He did, and also I liked the point you made that it's sort of like a whodunit, and I do think, as far as the plot, the story goes, I think it's really interesting to like use invisibility as a way to hide from the law while you're trying to clear your name. I think that's a neat idea they had.
Mm-hmm. And I think they pulled it off. I mean, like, at no point was I bored with this movie, but aside from Vincent Price's voice, like if anybody else had voiced Radcliffe, I genuinely don't think I would ever really remember much of this film.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough act to follow to replace the iconic voice of Claude Rains, but if anyone could do it, it's Vincent Price. And on the topic of Claude Rains, I told you this, but I just want to call it out. So the scientist in this movie who helps Radcliffe become invisible is the brother of Jack Griffin, Frank Griffin. And when the law enforcement, when they're sort of talking to him, they start looking through his brother's files, and they find a picture of Jack Griffin, and it's just so obviously just Claude Rains' headshot as an actor. Because it's a really fancy, and it's like, a striking pose he's making in the picture. It's like that's just Claude Rains' headshot.
Yeah. Too bad he was dead. So it was like, well, we're not getting that Invisible Man.
Yeah, exactly. So he's
I
not
think-
returning, as we pointed out.
I think one of the biggest issues I have with this movie is it's just almost like we said when we talked to Dracula's daughter about, nothing really exciting happened. At least that one kind of still had like the underlying tones like we talked about, like the addiction and temptation. This one just
It had those things.
doesn't have anything. And I mean, even when you kind of think there might be kind of like a big finale, I mean, it takes place on a coal cart.
Yeah. It
It's
could have been
like,
like
oh.
it could have been an exciting car chase or something. Look, it's, and I hate to say this, this might be the first one, unless you're a completionist, I just wouldn't recommend.
No. Or unless you want to
It
see
is
some
great.
cool special effects from 1940, because the
Yes.
effects are what saved this film. Everything else
Yes.
was really flat for me.
And as iconic and as great as Vincent Price is, he's not at his best here because he is sort of an up-and-comer at this point.
He was not enough to save it, unfortunately. And I kind of thought the way they made him visible again was such a cop-out. I was like, what? It was that easy this
Oh, yeah.
whole time?
The blood transfusion.
Just some random nobody's blood makes him come back. And it's like, oh, that was easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, now that they know the cure, they can kind of make an army of invisible people if they want.
Yeah. Now, when we were talking about Dracula's daughter, we said what really did save that movie was, the actress playing the Countess. She was good. The guy playing Sandor, he was great. And also, they just sort of had that gothic essence to them that, made those, foggy, spooky movies so great. And The Invisible Man, even the first one, isn't really like that. It's not that same type of Universal monster movie.
Mm-mm.
And so this one, I feel like, aside from the great special effects, I think that's the best thing about it. But aside from that, there's not a lot saving this movie.
No, I genuinely was not that. I really was not that engrossed with this film, and I'm not gonna lie. About halfway through, I kind of was wishing it was done. I'm teetering on that line of almost calling this a bad movie because it's just I can't really think of much I liked about it. Like I said, the special
won't
effects
say-
were cool, but other than that, it's just I just was not engrossed by the murder mystery because none of it really made much sense to me.
Yeah, I won't say it's a bad movie. It certainly does not fit in this lineup. It's not what... Because, now here's the thing. After this, pretty soon we're going to be reviewing The Invisible Woman. Now, but here's the thing. The Invisible Woman, I went in knowing it's a comedy.
Oh.
So I know it's... Yeah, did you not know that?
No. Thanks for ruining it.
Okay, it's...
I'm
Well,
kidding.
no, let me tell you, though.
Are we talking
that one I have a
Ragnarok
lot
humor or...
We're talking... You know who appears in that movie? Shemp from The Three Stooges.
Nice. I love The Three Stooges.
I'll tell you... Oh, good. I'm glad you're a fan as well. Listen, in The Invisible Woman, I enjoy that one more because I went in knowing this is going to be a comedy. It's funny. It's a funny movie. Whereas this movie, of course, it's not a comedy, but it's not a monster movie either. It's like this espionage spy thriller.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm not trying to, hold that against the movie, just because it's not, a quote horror movie. I got to judge the movie for what it is. But like you said, the spy espionage angle to it just wasn't engrossing to me.
Yeah, I watched this one less than a week ago, and I'm not kidding. Aside from like the end when he took the clothes from the scarecrow and was like walking through town and they brought him back, I really don't remember much about this film. I mean,
I remember
which is
they
the
were hanging
first
out, they were
one.
hiding. I remember they were hiding in this guy's inn, and the dog kept basically alerting
the
the
dog
townspeople
wouldn't
that they were
shut
there.
up, and
The dog wouldn't shut up, but
it just felt like way too much. Move from point A to point B, hide, run, go to the next point, hide, run. Just, I don't know.
It felt like it was just following beats, just da 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 da. We're following these steps.
And honestly, I still don't even understand why Radcliffe's brother was killed.
Yeah, me either.
It just, and I pay attention. Like when I watch these, I'm not, unlike, sitting down and watching like a superhero movie or a Transformers or something, I'm not on my phone. Because these movies you need to pay attention to them. And I still sometimes find stuff. I mean, maybe they said it. I don't remember. Sorry if I missed it. I still don't get it.
Yeah. It pains me to say this might be the first one.
If you're a completionist, watch it. The special effects are impressive, but if you're a casual fan, you can skip this one.
Yeah, it's
this one. I said Dracula's Daughter didn't leave me disappointed. This one, unfortunately, left me a little disappointed, and it pains me to say that because it's a sequel to The Invisible Man. It's got great effects, and it's got Vincent Price in it, and still, it just didn't capture me.
Which is, like you said, it's unfortunate because I wanted to like this. Like, I go into all of these wanting to like them. I mean, shoot, these movies are classics. They were made long before even either of our parents were alive.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, like you said, this is probably one. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, or if I do, it's going to be a long time. But
I won't say it's a bad movie, but it disappointed me.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully things go up from here.
I feel like a parent telling their child, "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed."
Yeah.
Which when you're a child, isn't that so much worse?
Oh yeah, because it's like you're always terrified of, your parents coming at you, about to beat the crap out of you or something, and then they just stop and they look at you. You just let me down, and then walk off, and it's like, just hit me and get it over with.
Just be mad. Yeah, just be mad, please.
But, it's whatever. It's fine. Hey, like we've said, almost no franchise on Earth is perfect. Every single one has a dud here and there. Except for Rocky. except for Rocky.
Of course.
There's no
Yep.
bad movies in that one. And 5 is
None.
not bad.
Agreed. People, but you know what? These movies are still batting 900 for me.
Oh, absolutely. Like we said, even probably The Weakest Dracula's Daughter was still good. This was the only one so far. But I mean, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. I mean, this is the 9th movie. I mean, hey, 8 really solid films in a row before this. I mean, there's bound to be a dud
like I
here and
said,
there.
Like I said, I wouldn't even call this a bad movie. It just didn't capture me the way it was trying to.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, there might be someone out there
Maybe
who
if
like
you're-
is. Go ahead.
Here's the thing: if you're a big fan of like classic, like the Maltese Falcon or like, you know, espionage movies of this era, I think they'd like this movie.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean,
That's
yeah,
not
and
exactly
if
my
this is your genre, this is gonna hit you probably. It's just, and we're not saying this just because it doesn't have the monster in it, but it just,
Or it doesn't play up that it's a monster.
right. I don't know. I almost feel like this is a story they could have told without somebody being invisible, if that makes sense.
Agreed. You know what this almost feels like, and I don't think this is what happened, but it almost feels like they were making this spy espionage movie, and then they were like, "Hey, we still have the rights to the Invisible Man. Hey, let's put an Invisible Man in this movie."
Let's just do it.
That's almost what it feels like, right?
Yeah, hey, capitalized on something and changed it up,
Right.
almost the same way they did. The original Nintendo did plenty of games where it was one thing, and then they got a license and they just changed a few pixels here and there, and it was suddenly a new game.
Right. Right. Oh, with Super Smash Bros. Or not Super Smash Bros. Super Mario Brothers 2.
Oh, Doki Doki Panic! What a great game.
Yep.
I've still never played the actual Doki Doki Panic, but
Neither have I. I've only played Super.
you know, it's like I like the original Super Mario. It's a classic. I'll forever have memories of me and my dad playing it. But even growing up, I always liked Mario 2 way better.
Super Mario Brothers 3 is the MVP of that trilogy, though, for me.
It really is, but then Super Mario World came along on SNES and blew that one out of the water too.
That's right. Man, you know what? We thought we were going off on things when we were talking about Dracula's Daughter, and here we are talking about Super Mario Brothers after talking about the Invisible Man returns. So clearly, we've said about everything we can say about that we feel we can. It's not for me. I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. The effects are great. Vincent Price is as good as he can be for being this early in his career. I just wish it could have been more of a monster movie. And if you like the espionage spy sort of stuff of this era, you'll really like it, but didn't capture me.
Same. I mean, you basically just said it all. I agree.
Sorry, I sort of hogged that.
No, you're
that
good.
ending there.
hey, it's better. Hey, it's better to get one person to get it all out and just agree, you know. But no, it decent little film, not for me. So it is what it is. Like we said, can't all be, you know, home runs. We can't all have, you know, not every movie can be The Bride of Frankenstein.
Exactly. Not every movie can be The Wolfman. But we haven't even talked about that yet. But it's going to be awesome.
Coming up to that, we're what, a couple of years? We're 1 year away from that. But we got 2 movies before that.
Yep. And like I said, and I feel like I'm going to sound hypocritical because I really do enjoy The Invisible Woman, even though that's a comedy, and so it's totally outside of the wheelhouse of all. But the thing is, I knew that going in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the difference is.
Well, before we get to that, do you know what we're doing in next time?
What is the next one we're recording?
The next movie we're going to be talking about is The Mummy's Hand.
The Mummy's Hand, the first of the Karras films.
Nice. The stereotypical shambling bandage-covered mummy.
Now, have you seen any of those movies?
I'd only ever seen the original. I'd never seen any of the Karras ones.
Well, I think you'll I think you might like this one. I will say this one has sort of like a poor man's Abbott and Costello in it.
Oh no.
So maybe that'll hurt it for you, but I still think the Mummy stuff is cool.
As long as they're on par with Bulk and Skull, I'll be good. I wonder how many people listening know who Bulk and Skull are. Because I know you know.
Yep.
So that wraps it up. Guys, thanks for tuning in. What did you think of this one? Let us know below, and we will see you in another few weeks. Have a good night.
Take it easy.